What's up, sports fans, and welcome back to another episode of Pez's Picks. I'm Jeff Hartman, co-host with Pez, the guy with the picks. Before we get started, listen, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, give us a 5-star rating. It does help with the algorithm. But also, if you're watching this on YouTube, give us a like, subscribe to the channel so that you get all of the best NFL, NBA, MLB gambling information that you want right here at the Fans First Sports Network. And with that being said, I welcome Pez into the show. What's up, Pez? How's it going?
It's go time, Jeff. Coming off St. Patty's Day, you got to get over that hangover. I got Guinness and I got numbers coming out of my brain. We got we got long shots, we got short shots. It's gambling paradise this week, but we got to go into it with a level head. I mean, I've had some rough March Madness first weekends. I've had some great ones. My greatest one, I marched in the St. Patty's Day parade in Las Vegas with four of my associates dressed as Elvis. I did not. I dressed as an Irish man as myself. We were there for the first weekend. Fantastic. We didn't know how to bet most days because we were so drunk. So we did not lose a lot of money, Jeff. And that's what we're going for. We're going to go with winners, though. Staying sober, winning bets. We're going to go with the odds. We're going to go with the numbers. My gambling idol was on Joe Rogan this week, Billy Walters, the famous gambler who took millions of dollars off of Michael Jordan for playing golf and then went to jail with Phil Mickelson, some sort of alleged stock scheme. But neither here nor there, Jeff. That was the last hour of his show. But the first interview was having an advantage when you are making sports plays. He talked about his strategies. He has a book out, Pez's Picks. We adopt many of them as well. You have to dig into the numbers. You have to look for injuries. You got to look for travel advantages. You got to look for little numbers. You got to have an algorithm, and we're going to be off and running with our March Madness ones in honor of him. Great sports gambler, 40-year guy, and you know Billy, if he's out there listening, call in one day for us. Maybe we'll have a
Yeah,
little chat with Billy one day. It would be
for
great. The
sure.
legend, the legend.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And I think that we talked briefly before we hit record on this podcast, and we said we're starting to get dialed in a little bit. It takes a while to get out of football mode. We're kind of clearing that out of our system. We're getting into basketball. Last week we took some NBA plays, went 2 for 2, by the way. The Milwaukee Bucks beat your 76ers and covered the -6-point spread. And then so did the Boston Celtics, beating the Suns, the Phoenix Suns, with also the -6 spread. So we go 2 for 2. Pez, you had to be feeling good about that.
Loved it, Jeff. And, you know, this time of year, you got about 14, 13 games left in the NBA. You're either, you know, for real or you're not. And there's a lot on the line. You've got play-in games now. I think this time of year is the time to make money on the NBA. You've got LeBron James battling to make the playoffs. You've got Steph Curry battling to make the playoffs. You've got the Orlando Magic, Jeff. And we're going to we give the truth. We give the advantages we find in Pez's Picks. 68% cover on the year against the spread. The Orlando Magic, unheard of, Jeff. 68% they are covering. An
Wow.
amazing stat. I think they're even higher odds at home. So, you know, we're looking to get dialed in next year. Maybe NBA will do daily picks, and we're looking to lock things down here and grow Pez's Picks with FFSN, and we're we're off and running. We hit on the Sixers this week 2 nights ago, Jeff. I did. Took them a great play. You've got to look at injuries. You've got to look at who's playing, and you got to look who needs to win this time of year and who doesn't. Right now, I believe Memphis has more guys on the injury list than they have playing. So there's a lot of information out there. Dig deep for the NBA and look for the advantages every night. It doesn't have to be a team that's going to make the playoffs either. There's going to be an advantage in every game. You just got to find it.
Now, for those listeners or viewers out there that are tuning into Pez's Picks, hoping to get some information about their brackets, well, you missed that. That was last week. He gave a ton of information about upsets, typically, historically, in terms of this ranked team losing in this round. You're late for that. We are talking about gambling on the individual games coming up here on Thursday and Friday. That is the focus. So if you are tuning in like, oh, I need to get my bracket set, well, you're too late. You can go back and check out last week's show if you want, but ultimately you're too late. And we are talking about the games coming up in this tournament. It's going to be a fun one. Let's start with the Thursday games. Pez, which game you want to attack first?
I think we have Oregon, South Carolina first on our list, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, Jeff.
Oregon is an 11 seed. South Carolina is a 6 seed. Oregon is spotting one or is getting 1 point.
So as you explained, we did go over that bracketology. You can work some of what we talked about last week in terms of sports gambling as well, Jeff. And last week, we were heavy on first round numbers 11 seeds versus 6 seeds. And we're talking last 38 years. Last 38 years, we've had 64 teams in this tournament. 11 has upset 6 58 times. So, doing some quick math in the head for Pez's picks, we're always quick calculating, Jeff. 152 times 11 has faced 6 in 38 tournaments. 58 of those, 11 has won outright. So for our first round gambling, we are going to stick to the numbers. If 11 v 6, 58 times, 38% of the time has won outright, that means that they are a likely cover or one of the more likely teams to cover in this tournament. 12 versus 5, 53 times out of 152 attempts. 12 versus 5 has won outright. 13 versus 4. Now we drop all the way to 32 times. So 11, 6, 12, 5. Strong gambling bets if you're going to take them. And we're not the only ones that know this, Jeff. As we go through some of these numbers, we're going to have so-called long shots that are actually favorites. And that comes down to seeding, and that comes down to a lot of things. So in regards to Oregon, South Carolina, number one, I think Oregon is a better team. 11 seed. Right now they're getting a point, and this is about a day before the game. We're putting this up. Oregon coming in as hot as anybody in the country. Pac-12 champion, beat UCLA, beat Zona, beat Colorado in the final. This team is hot as fire, in fuego, as we'd like to say in Pez's picks. South Carolina, second in the SEC, another Power 5 conference, but I think the Pac-12, to be quite honest with you, is a better basketball conference than the SEC this year. When we look into the numbers, somewhat even. Both teams averaging around 72, 75 points. Both teams, play hard defense, score some points. We're going to go with the hotter team. I think that's why the line is 1, even. And the hotter team to me right now is Oregon. and the numbers are on our side, Jeff. 38% of the time, 11 v 6 is going to win outright. I'm going to take that, and I'm going to take that point. Love this game. I love Oregon. I think Oregon could win a couple of games going. I think they get through this weekend. Could be one of those 11 seeds in the Sweet 16. I'm really looking for them to make some big waves this tournament.
And you'll see a trend here with the picks on Thursday and Friday with this 11 versus 6 seed that he was alluding to and the history there behind those matchups. We're going to see a lot of that. Do you want to go to NC State and Texas Tech next, Pez?
Let's go to that, Jeff. We've got not just the 11 v 6 numbers. We've got some data on these teams that are to us at Pez's picks, glaring reasons why we're going to take them. Points wise, dead even. You come in, Texas Tech averaging about 76 points. Same for NC State. Then we're going to drop all the way down to turnovers, Jeff. A big thing in this college tournament. College teams turn the ball over. I mean, NBA teams too. Turnovers in basketball are like throwing interceptions in football. If you're a high turnover team, you are a bad bet, and you're probably a team that's going to lose early or lose often. 11 plus turnovers a game, Texas Tech. They come in ranked 117th in the country turnover rate. That is a glaring number to Pez's picks. That screams to us bonus play here. 15th in the country for NC State. Under 10 turnovers a game. Hold the ball. They control it. I think overall a better defensive team. Tougher schedule as well. NC State playing that tough ACC schedule. And getting 5 points, Jeff, I don't understand it. We're going to take that all day. 5 points for NC State when you throw in that turnover ratio. I actually think if we punch these numbers properly, I think NC State probably is the better team, probably should be laying a point. And when we look at these college games, a lot of these numbers come from action, come from where people are betting and seeding and things like that. More than likely, the lower seeded team is going to have heavier action. So when you find these advantages with a higher seed, you're probably getting an advantage on the spread as well. I think that spread is off. I think NC State probably wins this game outright is what we're going for. If you want to be a real gambler, maybe you take the money line. On average, 1 or 2 11 v 6 wins outright. Not a bad play if you're looking to roll the dice and you got a lot of things going on tomorrow and Friday.
So to recap real quick, we have one more game on Thursday night, but so far you say take Oregon, the 11 seed, over the 6 seed South Carolina. You also say take the 11 seed NC State over Texas Tech, the 6 seed. Now we go to the only 13-4 prediction that we're given, the only pick for the 13 seed versus a 4 seed, Samford in Kansas. Kansas is spotting 7. You say take the Jayhawks.
And to me, Jeff, a little bit of a soft spot for the Kansas Jayhawks. I know we talked about them a lot this year. 4 or 5 times they've been top 10 team ranked and lost outright to teams that weren't ranked. Every time they have returned to the top 10, they had a very bad injury loss. Kevin McCullough Jr., All-American stud, out with a shoulder injury for the rest of the season. Changed their dynamic. They came in limping. I think this team is underrated. I mean, losing an All-American is definitely going to affect you, but great coach, Coach Self, guy that's been around a long time, a lot of pride in that organization. I've been on the floor of that arena. There is nothing more Hoosiers basketball and pure American basketball than that Kansas arena. I think for them, a 4 seed is a slight on that team. I think they're much better than that. Going up against Samford. Samford, shockingly, pretty decent team. They run the floor. They're a fast break team. A lot of action up and down. They're not going to have the depth to keep up with Kansas. Coaching staff in Kansas obviously has been watching tape on this team day and night. So they're going to figure out a way to slow that team down. When we look at the numbers, significant advantage for Kansas. Points against. Kansas giving up 68 points a game, 74 points a game. Samford's given up. So, I mean, looking at it right there, that's probably where that 7-point favorite line comes from. When we get down to assist ratio, Jeff, number 1 in the country, 19 assists a game. Kansas is averaging, moving the ball, sharing the ball. You have more than one guy that's scoring points. And then we get down to the turnover rate, something that we always look at Pezzas Picks. It's like looking at a quarterback's interception rate. 13 turnovers a game, Jeff. Coming in at a glaring 300th in the country is Samford. So what that tells us, Samford is playing playground style, which I like to watch at times, but playground style, they're going to be running up and down. They're going to be throwing that ball around, kind of like a quarterback that's got nothing to lose. It's gunning and airing it out. I think when you're playing a Power 5 conference team, a Kansas, probably a top 10 team, I think that, falling for them probably in the top 15 based on this 4 rating is a little bit of a slight. I think this exactly works into Kansas's favor. They're going to slow the game down. They're going to take the air out of the ball, work a half-court offense, and I love Kansas all day. I think this is a solid bet. I think this is our best bet for tomorrow, Jeff. 13-4,
Okay.
21% of the time. 13 upsets, 4 outright. Numbers are in our favor in that sense too. So I love the Jayhawks, and I think Coach Self going to rally those guys and get behind them, and they're going to be walking in a different team.
All right, so there you have the 3 picks for Thursday's tournament. Again, Oregon, Kansas, and NC State are our winners for Thursday. Then we go to Friday. Friday, we have some upsets here. We've got some, we not too bad. We do have some upsets, but we got a lot of favorites that we think are going to cover. We've got a lot of long odds. This is going to be fun. Let's start with Longwood and Houston, a 16 seed versus a number 1 seed. What is the spread that you have in front of you right now?
Well, I have 24.5 right now, Jeff. I don't know if that's a number has changed since I put that down for the show. 24.5, 25, 26. I'm
Okay.
taking Houston all day, Jeff, and the number probably grows a little bit. People are afraid to lay that much on day 1, day 2. Generally, these 1 seeds do cover. I think only 2 times in history has a 1 seed lost outright. So generally, a powerhouse team is going to blow out a minor team that's just squeaking into the tournament. I think this situation plays out perfectly. Houston, best defensive team in the country. Myself and my partner, Slingman, the only man I know that bet South Korean basketball overnight. The kid doesn't sleep. He lost money this week on South Korean basketball, so that's not something we're going to talk about, Jeff. But we looked at it today. 57 points, number 1 in the country. Points against, Houston's allowing. That is a shockingly low number based on the schedule they played. Number 1 team in the country. They are coming in rolling. We get down to the turnover rate. 256 in the country. Just under 13 turnovers a game for Longwood. And you have Houston, I mean, they're at 8 turnovers a game. They protect the ball. They defend the ball. They get up and down the court. I love Houston. I look for them to make a lot of waves in this tournament and get to the second weekend at the very least. And I think 25 points. We could see that at halftime, Jeff. Houston, Longwood does not have the ability to play on the court with Houston and the athletes that they're bringing to the table this tournament.
All right, so let's stick with the 16 seeds versus the number 1 seeds. And the other one is Stetson versus UConn. UConn is giving 26.5 points. I have a feeling that your explanation is going to be very similar to the one you just had. Nonetheless, you say take the UConn Huskies giving 26.5.
So you're correct, Jeff. Number 15 in the country, giving up 64 points a game. UConn, that with the schedule that they've played, they're playing ranked teams. That's a phenomenal number. Teams that defend the ball. When you go into these tournaments, there's one thing you got to watch for, and Duke was suspect of this a lot of times as well. When you're an outside shooting team, when you're a three-point shooting team, depending on the stadium, depending on the arena, lighting's different. You've got depth perception issues that are different. Anytime there's a shooting team, an outside shooting team that plays in like a Texas stadium, you always go the other way. There's no depth perception. You got 100,000 people in there. The playing games last night I watched, I had a text around. I said, "Is my TV off? It looks dark." Dayton Stadium is dark. I talked to a Villanova player from 1985, Jeff. That's how far we go back in Pez's Picks. Same thing. They shot like crap in that stadium. It's bad lighting. So, having said that, if you play defense and your game is about defense, it doesn't matter about the light. If the lighting's bad, that plays into you. A phenomenal defensive team, UConn, and deep teams tend to put leverage on these smaller teams. I don't think Stetson's got the workhorse, or they've got the power to play with this team. Another team that shares the ball, UConn as well, 4th in the country, just under 19 assists a game, well balanced. They're going to defend. They're going to share the ball. They're going to control the clock. And I think Longwood and Stetson, their teams are going to be packing up, but they're happy to be there, right? And mentally, you go into these teams, you're playing the number 1, number 2 team in the country. As we've talked about, I played a little bit of small level college sports. When we would go in to play a team we knew were outmatched, you kind of go into it with the gentleman's kind of chuckle, Jeff. Very rarely does Cinderella have it, but it does. But very rarely does Cinderella find that slipper on the first date. I don't think in either of these situations. I don't think Cinderella's even in the building for Longwood or Stetson. So love UConn just as much as I love Houston, even though we're giving up 25 points, and that is a lot, 26, 25.
You bring up Cinderella. Let's be honest. More often than not, these teams get smacked in the face and they realize really quick they do not stand to be on the same court with these players, and therefore it just goes downhill quickly. So, keep your eye early on in these games, because sometimes teams that maybe fly under the radar, 16 seeds, whatever.
Sure.
If they can hang early, they get a little confidence. They get a little mojo. Oh, we can win. And if they start hitting their threes, anyone can hang in a game. Early on in these games, keep an eye on these things. But hey, we like UConn and Houston to cover those monster spreads. Now we go to a little bit closer competition. Another 11-6 matchup. 11 seed New Mexico and Clemson as a 6 seed. If I'm reading this correctly, New Mexico is giving 2 points as an 11 seed.
And Jeff, like we said, Pez's Picks are not the only ones doing this research. High frequency rate of 11 upset and 6. It's just the way the brackets are made. I mean, there's certain positions that are granted based on finishing in certain Power 5 conferences, but New Mexico, outright better team. I mean, we're laying 2 points. Numbers-wise, bracketology-wise, it's an upset. It would be an upset for Clemson to cover this game. When we look into the numbers, very even teams. Points scored, points against are going to be even. Of course, we find our advantage, Jeff. One of the worst rebounding Power 5 conference teams in the country is Clemson. They're averaging 39 rebounds a game. If you don't rebound, that means you are not working, Jeff. Rebounding's like tackling in the NFL. Your Steelers, I see the flag behind you. One thing I love about that team, they're going to tackle. That's that team, no matter how bad they play, they are tackling. If you're not rebounding, you're not tackling, you're not playing hard. You're not playing physical. Glaring difference, 19th in the country. Coming in for New Mexico, 44 rebounds a game to 39. That's 5 extra possessions, Jeff, 6 extra possessions. You're talking 10, 12 points. So I love New Mexico in this situation. Team comes in hot. The Lobos, I believe they are, which is a fantastic name. We got to love that. Clemson, what are they? The Tiger, Jeff? There's no
Yeah.
Tigers or there's no Bears down in North Carolina. What the hell is that situation? So Clemson, rough NCAA football year. I think we're going to see an early exit for Clemson, and I think New Mexico could light things up. West Coast sports and college sports this year have been hot, and I think New Mexico is going to ride that fire going in, Jeff.
All right, let's go to the last game, JMU, which we bet on them in football. You have the connection to JMU and in Wisconsin, the Badgers, 12 seed versus 5 seed. Wisconsin's giving 5.5. You like Wisconsin to send James Madison home early.
Well, I talked with the third string punter from 20 years ago today, Jeff, and he and I agreed. The kiss of death is when ESPN labels you as the number one upset pick, 12v5. I mean, like we've said, 35% of the time they win outright. Anytime that happens, they never cover, Jeff. JMU, solid team. They do score a lot of points. They do run up and down the field, the court. Wisconsin, though, Power Five conference. We lean on these big time conferences. They're more road tested. On paper, pretty even. Numbers are pretty solid, but I think at the end of the day, Wisconsin, Big Ten perennial powerhouse basketball team, they got to cover 5.5 against JMU. You might get one 12v5 that wins outright. I like the matchups when you have a 5.5 point spread tells me that Vegas expects Wisconsin to win. And that 5-6 points in college basketball, that's a lot of points. I mean that you're looking at maybe 10 points in the NFL, maybe a little more. And I love Wisconsin against JMU. Athletically, they're going to be superior. They're going to have a deeper bench and definitely more road tested. So, unfortunately for JMU, I think ESPN gave them the kiss of death. It's kind of like if you were on the cover of Madden in the old days, you got injured in preseason. So, unfortunately, I think JMU's entering in, and they're going to be taking a walk back to Virginia. Maybe have a party with Clemson down there. Who knows, Jeff? I don't know what they do in that situation, but
Yeah, Harrison.
in that 15-2, if you are a gambler, 11 times on day one, 15 teams have beaten 2 seeds outright. So we're not gonna put any of those plays out, Jeff, because it's clearly a long shot. I mean, you're looking at about a 7-8% chance of that hitting. Having said that, generally one time every year a 15 beats a 2 outright. I mean, that's one. I think it's 1.2 times on average. So maybe take a look. True numbers. A 15-2 money line would be a huge, huge, huge play. I mean, you're going to get great odds on that. Maybe you throw a $10 play down on a 15 seed that you like. Maybe you find an advantage. You're looking at rebounding or turnovers. There's definitely some out there. We're not going to put that out because to us that's too big of a situation. Going into round 2, Jeff, we do have some numbers to give people. I mean, we're not going to be on air Saturday and Sunday, so they're going to be on their own. 27 times, 7 has upset 2. The number I like a lot, 15 times. We could argue, maybe one every other year. 8s have upset 1 seed. I think this year, 1 seeds are fragile, 2 seeds are fragile. I think you're going to see some big numbers upsetting on day 2. 11-3 and 10v2, 39 times have upset teams. So about 1 a year, maybe a little 1.2 times a year. 11 or 10 upsets 2 and 3. Something to think about when people are going into locking these bets down on Saturday and Sunday. And it's going to be a great weekend. We got newspapers. We got manila folders going around, Jeff. We got guys with sunglasses and trench coats handing people stuff on the street. Sling Man told me he's got some action working. He's got, in Philadelphia, in New Jersey, Jeff, you can't bet on New Jersey college teams. So
Right.
The Sling Man is a St. Peter's guy. The Peacocks, he's mad at me. We're not taking them. I think they're a 15 seed. The Sling Man's got to go down to the Cooper River between New Jersey and Philadelphia. He's got to hang his phone out over the water, try and breach the perimeter and get his action in, save himself some of the toll money crossing that Walt Whitman or Ben Franklin Bridge. But enjoy yourselves. This is a great weekend. Just don't go crazy. We've got 3 more weekends of this action. So, you got to go into it with the teams that are advantages. Don't chase your money on day 1 or 2 either. That's a big problem people get into. they start laying heavy on the late games, and that's always a guaranteed loser. Go to bed, Jeff. Go to bed and regroup. In the art of war, they say when you're outmatched, run. I mean, it's never a bad thing, Jeff. Running's never a bad thing. I mean, especially if it's a grizzly bear.
I got to be honest. So you send me these picks, and I'm writing them down, and I'm absolutely stunned. I'm stunned. There's a game you didn't take, and I can't believe it. I mean, I'm wondering if everything is okay at your house,
Okay.
because the reason why is that how did you not play Long Beach in the Libido Play of the Week in the Arizona Wildcats? Your wife has to be absolutely furious about this. You're not taking Arizona?
I like Arizona to win the tournament, Jeff. They're one of my 3 teams I really like. I have a problem betting against Long Beach in this game. I've got a really bad feeling. I think Long Beach could give Arizona a run. Long Beach historically has fantastic basketball. It's a Snoop Dogg neighborhood type of team. The guy supports that Long Beach team, Jeff. A lot of 90s rap comes from out of that area. It is a tough town with tough basketball players. I think Arizona's got the muscle, and I think they've got the game, but that's a big number. So I'm going to leave the pressure off of them on weekend 1. We're going to ride them out. They are our pick to win the tournament, Jeff. So we're still in good graces. She's going to have her top on. She volunteered to make an appearance if they get to the Sweet 16 and her new fan top, Jeff. So we're looking forward to that. We're going to talk to the to our HR department and see how much we can actually show. And I'll be talking with the CEO this week about that too, Jeff.
There you go. Good stuff. Good stuff. Hey, there's a golf tournament this weekend. There's a golf tournament every weekend coming off the Players, which, by the way, hey, our Players in terms of outright winners suck. Like, I mean, you can hear us talk about it, but they suck. But if you would have parlayed, if the book would have let you parlay my bet on 17 last week, you would have hit. You would have hit because the 3 players I picked, Xander Schauffele, Rory McIlroy, and Scotty Scheffler, they hit the green all 4 rounds. They all made the cut. So you would have been able to parlay yourself into some money there. But the Valspar Championship is this weekend. What do you got? Anything?
I mean, great tournament coming off last week. And, that leads us into this week, Jeff. This is a weird tournament. You've got a lot of journeymen who are on, as you know, on your podcast, Fairways and Dreams, you talk a lot of it. You get sponsor exemptions if you're a guy, based on your career money, earnings, or what have you. So I've noticed in this field, we have a ton of old guys that are playing, guys that, might not be on the regular tour anymore. Maybe they get lucky. Maybe they get a Masters invite. I don't like betting those guys. I mean, when you're not a week in, week out tour guy, your game's probably slipping a little bit. Having said that, I like Brian Harmon this week. He was great. He had a phenomenal tournament.
Played well.
Tough guy. Lefties just look better with their swing. I don't know what it is. Could have easily won that tournament. Scheffler had one of the best Sundays I've ever seen. Probably robbed Xander and Harmon of something big happening for
and them. Wyndham Clark whipping out that putt on 18 to send it to a
amazing
playoff.
putt.
Oh.
What an amazing putt, Jeff.
Yeah.
So I like Brian Harmon this week. 2,200. Guy won the British Open, as we know, last year. There's a lot of good players. There's a lot of championships in this field, new and old championships. So Brent Snedeker, another guy I like, maybe a top 20 guy. Another guy I've always liked watching. This is going to be a rough weekend. I mean, we're going to see some battling on that course.
Yeah, I mean, but for my bets on the Fairways and Dreams podcast, for anyone out there that's a golfer, go check that out. Fairways, the and symbol Dreams. My long shot was Keegan Bradley at plus 3,500. I have the favorite. For some reason, I bet on this guy in Mexico, and he didn't play out for me. Tony Finau. This guy's going to win. He wins like once every year, Pez. And so I just feel like maybe this is the week that he does. He's plus 2,500. But the bet, go ahead.
I love him, man. When he's putting, he's going to win. He's like Scheffler. If he's rolling putts. I mean, those guys don't miss fairways. They smoke the ball 330. I mean, Scheffler looked like the best golfer I've ever seen on Sunday. Phenomenal finish for that guy. And I love Finau.
Messed up neck too. He had a messed up neck too.
Unbelievable. I think it's the beard, Jeff. He went with the beard. Got a little more gusto. A little bit more of a tough guy. Got another long shot play for us, Jeff. We got to throw everything in this weekend. We got the numbers going all over. We're looking at advantages here. Across the pond, Manchester United. I know we've lost a couple plays on them, Jeff, and it's my team. Huge win There's another tournament going on, Jeff, other than the Premier League. It's called the FA Cup. Manchester United came back, overtime win, shocked the world against Liverpool. This week they head to Brentford, Jeff. Nobody even knows where Brentford is. Their stadium is called the Glitch Community Stadium. I don't even know what that is. 15th in the table, which means they're 15th. Number 6 on the table, Manchester United. So we're going to go with Man U to win, plus 120 to win against Brentford, Jeff. So if Manchester United can't beat the 15th team on the table, we got some problems with that organization. I think that they're back rolling. They look like a different team this week, and I'm all over them, Jeff. Manchester United win outright plus 120.
All right. There you go, folks. This is one of those moments. We talked about the Super Bowl. We talked about the college national championship. This is a month-long focus for us here at Pez's Picks, and we're going to have you covered every single week. Pez, any final thoughts as March Madness kicks off?
It's going to be great, Jeff. Enjoy yourself. I mean, I know a lot of people will be sick this week, Jeff, for Thursday and Friday. I mean, we got games, day and night, 5, 6 different channels. So enjoy it. Have fun. Don't go crazy chasing your money. We got a lot of weeks left to win this money. So if you have a rough Thursday, Friday, take it easy. Don't double down on those night games. I've been there, Jeff. For lessons learned from a failed gambler. Don't chase that 950 game. That's a death blow to your bank account. Have fun with it. Enjoy it. Hopefully Arizona wins. And, my wife's going to be doing some Pilates this week, Jeff. So it'll be a fun show next week.
All right, for Pez, I'm Jeff Hartman. We'll see you next week on another Pez's Picks. Take it easy. Thanks, Pez.
See you, buddy.